Lions loss is big, and that they looked completely different from they have the last 2 seasons, and they look like they missed Ben Johnson. But that said, it's got to be the Packers win. I mean, the Packers looked phenomenal, I thought, on both sides of the ball. Obviously, Jordan Love, J-Lo threw it well. Matthew Golden didn't have a huge game, but still, the receiving core as a whole looked really good. You still got Josh Jacobs doing his thing. And defensively, they manhandled Detroit. And Micah only played after snaps, but made his presence felt. Here's his stats with Micah on the field versus off. He's on the field for 29 plays, off for 36. 3 sacks in the 29 he's off, because obviously, as we talked about when the trade was made, when he's out there, you have to pay so much attention to him that it opens things up for Rashawn Gary and the others. Gary had a sack and a half. And they gave up less than 2.5 yards per play when Micah's on the field, basically 5 yards a play when he's off it. So, and he was obviously not fully engaged in knowing what they're doing defensively. So they are just, and this is what I've said about them too, beyond Micah. They've been the youngest team in the league the last 3 years. So the guys they have on their team are getting better, the younger guys. And now you have a superstar, and maybe J-Lo will become a star. Like, they look like they have it all.
Yeah, I just want to interject real fast because they were talking about the numbers. A bunch of those numbers are really misleading because it was down the stretch when, like, the Lions started moving the ball down the field a little bit, and Micah's, not necessarily there as much. So, like, even when Micah was not on the field, especially in that first half, first 3 quarters, whatever, they still struggled completely. So let's not get it twisted and think that, like, oh, the Lions actually looked pretty good when Micah wasn't on the field. Like, that's not even remotely true. And so I just fear that when we look at numbers like that, we get a little confused. This was about the Packers to me. Clearly, we all understand who the Lions are and what Dan Campbell wants that team to represent. A physical bunch of guys is going to be the most dominant and physical team anytime they step on the field. That was clearly not the case yesterday. Like, when you watch, and from defensively, just the defensive front, the line of scrimmage was controlled both offensively by Green Bay and their offensive line, because Jordan Love was untouched. Like, he stood back there like unbothered. And defensive line-wise, they wreaked havoc and controlled that line of scrimmage. They didn't allow them to run the ball at all. They didn't allow Jared Goff to get into play action and hold the ball and go down the field. They eliminated all of those things, and that was without Micah on the field. And so when I saw that, and then you add Micah and all the things that you just said, this is a really scary team. And so what Jeff Hafley has done and been able to do, you talked about the youth, but the way he's going to be able to utilize those guys and the depth that he has at a lot of those positions. And we're not even talking about the offense, right? This is an impressive team. Yeah. Is Micah Parsons that good of a football player? Fever broken yet, or we need another game? No, I just don't know. I know Dan Campbell before the game told everyone who would listen, we were actually kind of happy about the trade because we were so afraid of Kenny Clark. I know that I was watching pregame, and Teddy Brucey is like, yeah, Michael Parsons, a guy that can lose you a game, though, because of the culture he brings into your locker room. I remember last week on this show and others, it was like, well, actually, I know it hasn't been talked about in the half decade he's been in the league, but the guy just ruined your run defense. Well, yesterday the Lions ran for less yards than they have in almost 2 full years. They're in ran for 46 yards. And again, idiots that don't understand football but just watch all the games like me was like, I don't know. When I watch Michael Parsons play defense, it seems like he impacts the quarterback almost every play. Listen, it's so funny to all this focus on Micah, because I don't think the focus is on Micah. The focus is on the team, man. The focus is on the team. The bigger story, the Lions lost or the Packers win. It's both. It's obviously the Packers, but it's also both for multiple reasons. And I want to unpack this because I kept saying that I thought that the Lions were going to take a step back. that you can't lose those coordinators and expect to have no repercussions, right? I was very, very, very firm and confident in that. And then to me, I talked about the Packers and I said, listen, the Packers need to show that they have the best coach quarterback duo, at least in the division, if not one of the top, well, one of the higher ones in the NFL. We don't have to get too into it too much. But like at the very minimum in the division, you can't let Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams leapfrog you. You can't let J.J. McCarthy and Kevin O'Connell leapfrog you. And you certainly now can't let a new coordinator come on with Jared Goff, right? Like you have Matt LaFleur. You need to solidify yourself as we have the best coach quarterback duo. And that's what they did. We'll see this. I'm recording this obviously before Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy and Kevin Unnell. But it's just like, if you're a Packers fan, I always like to do this. I always try to think about like, what is the lens that you want to look? You guys hear me say this all the time. Like, what lens are we looking at this through? What lens are we looking at this through? And it's like, if you're a Packers fan and you're looking at through this lens, you have to just be like, if we do not have the best coach quarterback duo in our division, then we made a mistake somewhere along the lines, right? We made a mistake, and it's indefensible to have someone else leapfrog us right now. It would be indefensible. And so the Lions have obviously been incredibly dominant. They've been a great team. They've been a suffocating team. I know it's not the easiest thing for a Packers fan to admit, but it's the reality, right? Like, they've been an awesome, awesome team, a team that you don't want to face. Of course, you can always feel like you can beat them, especially if you're a Packers fan, but like, they're a tough, tough team. They were physical, they were smart, they were well coached, well prepared. They were just ready for every moment. And even if they were down, you still felt that the defense could come up with a big stop, and the offense always had at least a trick or two. That seemingly is gone now. And if you're talking about from a division standpoint, if the Lions are taking a step back and now dealing with actual issues that they have to figure out, by virtue, the Packers are already taking a step forward if they just maintain the same. Now, if the Packers take their own step forward, now you're even farther ahead. And now look around the division. You're talking about a first-year starter with J.J. McCarthy, a first-year head coach with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams in his second year. Like, you should be accelerated here. You have a tremendous amount of continuity here. And even adding in a Micah, who at this point is a legitimate seasoned veteran, but just this defense alone was already great. I've said this, I repeat this now because I said this earlier on the herd, but like, this defense was already great. This defense didn't even need Micah. And now you add Micah, very similar to me, like how the Eagles, they didn't need Saquon Barkley, but adding Saquon Barkley obviously made it even better, right? Even transformed already a great offense that had already gone to the Super Bowl without a Saquon Barkley, right? So like that to me is what you're looking at now. And so I don't even need to see any of the on the field, off the field with Micah, or how does this look, et cetera, et cetera. You're at this point, you just need this Packers defense and Micah to come up with that big play in the playoffs. You're playing up Jalen Hurts, and in this scenario, Jordan Love doesn't turn the ball over and they're not littered with injuries, but it's like you get that strip sack on Jalen Hurts. It is 3rd and 2, and in a heartbeat, Jalen Hurts has just a body on him, and now it's 4th and 5, and now it's like, can't do the tush push, right? Like that, those are the moments that you're looking for, right? Because if the Lions are going to take a step back, I expect them to be able to be better whether you have a Micah or not, right? Whether you have just a pretty good defense or not, or whether you have a pretty good defense or an elite defense, because now is the time to show offensively, we are Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love first. That is who we are. That is our identity. We have a great coach and a great quarterback, and we're trying to prove to everyone that we have an elite coach and an elite quarterback and an elite coach quarterback duo. That is the soil of this team that you're looking to say, this is what we're building out from. Now, of course, you always want to build out around a team and have a great defense, have some weapons, have a good O-line, have the run game, all of those things. But the nucleus, the core, if you're trying to truly build something special here, it's Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, and then everything else just needs to be rounded out. And so when you're looking around the league, when you're looking around the division, it's just like, to me, that's the lens that I'm looking through, because think about what Nick said going into this game, or as soon as they made the trade and I ripped him for it. He goes, the Packers are saying that we believe in Jordan Love. They're putting a big bet on Jordan Love. And I'm like, yeah, because Jordan Love is great. Jordan Love is great. They're not questioning how great Jordan Love is. And then obviously the last season, it just was messy with injuries and whatnot. But this year so far, week 1 was complete. Now it's going to be interesting to see how the Lions age, how this win ages. Always a divisional game, always tough just to begin with. But the Lions did not look good. Not only did the Packers look great in that game and look obviously just better than the Lions, but the Lions struggled, not just because of the great Packers defense, but just because that was just not the Lions that we know them to be anymore. So I'm excited to see the Packers continue to play other more competitive, more just better coached teams right now, honestly, because as I've said now a million times, I am a huge coach forward person. And I said going into this season, I guarantee you Jared Goff will have a higher pressure to sack percentage than he's had in years past with Sean McVay or Ben Johnson. 25%. A quarter of the time that he was pressured, he got sacked. Last year, he was 16.5. What a great coach does is they give you solutions to the pressure. Sometimes it's just on the quarterback to obviously use his legs and find no escape. Sometimes the quarterback just can't handle the pressure. They're just not as good at it. But a lot of times when you see a quarterback struggling with pressure, to me, the first step is always, what is a coach doing to make sure that he has outs, that he has paths forward when he's reaching the pressure? What type of layups, what type of easy balls does he set up for his quarterback? And a Ben Johnson, Sean McVay, they're going to be great at that. A new coordinator, because Jared Goff struggled with that. Got Sean McVay, was good with it. Lost Sean McVay, not so good with it. Got Ben Johnson, good with it. Lost Ben Johnson. It's only 1 week, not looking so good in that front. Now, those things matter. Those things matter. So, yeah, man, you're a Packers fan. You should just be through the moon with this game, because not only does it feel like you obviously got better, but it feels like a huge threat. A team that was seemingly unstoppable has taken a legitimate step back, which now only makes you even better and more in a better position to get the division, to win the division, get home field, we'll have to see. I don't want to talk about buys and 1 seeds right now. It's week 1. But you're just putting yourself in a better position, and maybe even then having another home game, depending on obviously how playoffs unfold. Even if you don't get like the 1 seed, because like I said, we're not going to start predicting 1 seeds right now. That's a bridge too far. But you have to feel great, and you got the exact performance that you would want, and at least that I wanted to see out of Jordan Love. Everybody was on time, within rhythm. It felt like Jordan Love was executing Matt LaFleur's offense rather than just, we're playing football. Yeah, let's just call hike and see what happens. Everything was done with a purpose. Everything was done within reason. Everything was balanced and smart. And even when they were torching the Lions, nobody got too fat for their own good. Nobody was just like, let's just keep feasting. Let's just keep feasting. Let's just go. Jordan Love didn't start to get like, hey, this is great. This is easy. Let's just keep attacking nonstop. It wasn't like that. It was just like, we're just here to win. We're just here to win. So it was definitely one of the most complete games in the NFL for sure. So exciting to see if you're a Packers fan. And, I don't mean to do a little bit of a victory lap, but, we'll just leave it there. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers? What do you think the bigger story is? The Lions lost, which I don't see how that really is possible, or the Packers win? What's your takeaway from a game like this? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.